Shelter, Chapter 8. I worried about my mom all day. We exchanged a few just checking in type of texts. She seemed upbeat. When the final bell rang, I found a quiet corner outside and called her cell phone. She answered on the third ring. Hi, Mickey. I heard a little sing song in her voice and immediately relaxed. Where are you? I'm back at the house, she said, making you dinner. Everything is okay? Everything is great, honey. I went to the supermarket. I shopped for clothes at the mall. I even had a pretzel at the food court. That might sound boring, but it was a wonderful day. I'm glad. How was school? Good, I said. So, what do you want to do this afternoon? I have outpatient therapy from 4 to 5. Remember? Right. And don't you normally take the bus to basketball today? I had my steady pickup game in New York. I usually do. So, so I thought I'd skip it today. Don't change your plans because of me, Mickey. You go play and I'll go to therapy, and by the time you get home, I'll have spaghetti and meatballs ready. Oh, and I'm making homemade garlic bread too. Another one of my favorites? My mouth was already watering. Will you be home by 6? She asked. Yes. Great. I love you, Mickey. I told her I loved her too, and then we hung up. The bus station is on Northville Avenue, half mile from the school. Most of the commuters headed back to Newark at this hour are exhausted housekeepers trekking back to their urban dwellings after a day in the wealthier suburbs. They gave me strange looks, wondering why this white boy was doing on the bus with them. The well to do grassy environs of Castleton were only 7 miles from the gritty streets of Newark, but the two cities seemed to be from different planets. I'm told that Newark is on the mend, and while I see pockets of it, I mostly see old decay. Poverty is still prevalent, but I go where the best basketball is. And while you could talk prejudice or racial profiling, I'm still one of the very few white guys down here after school. The two courts were made of cracked asphalt. The rims were rusted with metal rather than nylon nets. The backboard had dents and dings. I started coming down here about a month ago. Naturally, I was greeted with skepticism, but that's the wonderful thing about basketball. You got game or you don't. At the risk of sounding immodest, I got game. I still get funny looks from the regulars, still get the new guy challenges, but that was something I thrived upon. We were midway through fifth game when I was stopped in my tracks by something I saw. Earlier, we had chosen up sides. We play full court 5-on-5. Winners stay on, losers sit. That gives the game high stake. High stakes. No one wants to sit. The closest thing I have to a friend down here is Tyrell Waters, a junior point guard at the nearby Wequahic High School. He's probably the only guy I met here that I feel comfortable with, mainly because we don't talk all that much. We just play. Tyrell startled a few of the regulars by picking me first. Our team won the first 4 games in pretty easy fashion. For the fifth game, some of the guys on the sidelines tried to stack the sides so that we would have stiffer competition. I loved the matchups, but when but it was during the fifth game that I lost my focus a bit. These pickup games draw a surprisingly large and diverse crowd. Local toughs Tyrell tells me that many are hardened gang members, hung off in the distance and glared. On the right, there was a group of homeless men who cheered and jeered, just like real fans, plotting and booing and betting bottles of booze on the outcome. Closer in, against the fence, was stoic faces. Was a mix of local coaches, involved fathers, scuzzy agents, wannabes, scouts from prep schools and even colleges. At least one guy, usually more, films the games for the purpose of recruitment. So, for a second, when we were coming back on defense, I glanced over in the crowd behind the fence. On the far right was a scout who recruited for an athletically high power parochial school. He approached me the other day, but I wasn't interested. Next to him was Tyrell's father, an investigator in the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, who loved to talk hoops and sometimes took Tyrell and me for milkshakes after the games. And next to him, third from the right, standing there with sunglasses and a dark business suit, was a guy with a shaved head I've seen at Bat Lady's house. I froze. Mickey? It was Tyrell. He had the ball and was heading down court. He looked at me puzzled. Come on, man. I jogged after him, moving down to the low post. The score was 5-4, our lead. We first played team to 10 by ones. No one calls fouls. You just dealt with the contact and gave it back. I wanted to walk off the court right then and there, but you don't just do that in pickup games. I glanced back over at the fence. The man was still wearing the aviator sunglasses, so I could see his eyes, but I have no doubt where he was looking at. Directly at me. I set up on the post and called for the ball. The guy covering me was 6'8" and burly. We jockeyed for position, but I knew I had to end this game quickly before the man from Bat Lady's house disappeared. I became a man possessed. I got the ball and drove it down the middle, tossing it up, a baby hook, over the front rim and in. The man from Bat Lady's house watched in silence. I turned it up a gear, scoring the next three baskets. 3 minutes later, my team was up 9-4 now. Tyrell hit me on the left block. I pump fake, spun to the left, and nailed a fadeaway banker over the outstretched hand of a guy who was nearly 7 feet tall. The crowd went, ooh, when the ball fell through the hoop. Game over. Tyrell offered me a fist bump, and I took it on the run. Some shot, Tyrell said. Some pass, I countered, heading off the court. Hey, Tyrell said, where you going? I gotta sit this one out, I said. You kidding? It's the last game. We got a chance of sweeping. He knew something had to be wrong. I never sat out. The man from Bat Lady's house stood with the crowd behind the fence. When he saw me coming, he started to slide back and away. I didn't want to call out, not yet anyway, so I picked up my pace. Because of the fence, I had to circle around to get to him. Tyrell came running up behind me. What's wrong? Nothing. I'll be back. I didn't want to break up into a sprint. That would look too weird. So instead, I did one of those fast walk things. When I got around the fence, the homeless guys surrounded me, offering me high fives and encouragement and, of course, advice. You need to work on the left, man. The drop step. Use that one, see? And go baseline. You gotta stick your butt out more in the box, like this. It was hard to rush through without being overly rude. But now the man from Bat Lady's house was almost at the street corner, moving unhurriedly, but somehow fast. I didn't want to lose him. Wait, I shouted. He kept walking. I called out to him. He stopped, turned, and for a second, I thought I saw a hint of a smile on his face. The heck with it. I pulled away from my Vino fan base and dashed toward him. Heads turned from the suddenness of my movement. In the corner of my eye, I saw Tyrell's father notice what was going on and followed me. The man from Bat Lady's house was across the street now, but I was closing the gap pretty quickly. I was maybe 30, 40 yards away from him when the black car with the tinted windows pulled up next to him. Stop! But I wasn't going to make it. The man paused and gave me a nod, as if to say, nice try. Then he slid into the passenger seat, and before I could do anything, the car sped off out of sight. I didn't bother to take down the license plate. I already had it. Tyrell's father, Mr. Waters, caught up. He looked at me with concern. You okay, Mickey? I'm fine, I said. He wasn't buying it. Do you want to tell me what that was about, son? Tyrell was there too now, standing next to his father. The two of them looked at me together, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and I hated myself for feeling such envy. I was grateful to this man for worrying about me, but I couldn't help but wish it were my own father here, concerned about my welfare. I just thought I recognized him, that's all, I said. Tyrell's father still wasn't buying. Tyrell said, we got one more game to play. I thought about my mother heading back home after therapy, making spaghetti and meatballs. I can almost smell the garlic bread. It's getting late, I said. I have to catch the bus back. I can drive you, Tyrell's father said. Thank you, Mr. Waters, but I can't ask you to go out of your way like that. It's no trouble. I got a case in Castleton anyways. It'll be nice to have the company. We lost the last game in part because I was so distracted. When it was over, we all high-fived or fist-bumped. Good game. Mr. Waters waited for us. I took the back seat. Terrell sat up front. He dropped Terrell off at the two-family house they shared with Mr. Waters' sister and her two sons. On Panoma Avenue, a tree-lined street in Newark, Wequatic section. You going to come down tomorrow? Tyrell asked me. I've been blocking on it, but now I remembered that Mom, Myron, and I were flying out in the morning to visit my father's grave in Los Angeles. It was a trip I didn't want to make. It was a trip I really needed to make. No, not tomorrow, I said. Too bad, Tyrell said. Fun games today. Yeah, thanks for picking me. I just picked to win, he said with a smile. Before I got out, Tyrell leaned over and kissed his father goodbye on the cheek. I felt another pang. Mr. Waters told his son to make sure he did his homework. Yes, Dad, in an exasperated tone. I remembered myself in better days. I moved up to the front seat. So, Mr. Waters said to me as we hit Interstate 80, what's with that bald guy in the black car? I didn't even know where to start. I didn't want to lie, but didn't want to really know how to explain it. I couldn't tell him I broken into a house or any of that. Finally, I said, he may be following me. Who is he? I don't know. No idea at all? None, I said. Mr. Waters mulled that over. You know that I'm a county investigator, right, Mickey? Yes, sir. Is that like a cop? That's exactly what it's like, he said. And I was standing next to that guy the whole time you were playing. I never seen him down here before. He barely moved. The whole time he just stood there in that suit, didn't cheer, didn't call out, he never said a word, and he never took his eyes off of you. I wondered how he could tell that. What, with the sunglasses and all? But he knew what I meant. But I knew what he meant. We fell into silence for a moment or two. He said something that surprised me. So, while you guys played that last game, I took liberty of running that guy's license plate. You mean on the black car? Yes. I sat perfectly still. It didn't come up in the system, he said. What does that mean? It's classified. You mean like it's diplomatic or something? Or something, he said. I tried to put it together, but nothing was coming to me. So, what does that mean exactly? We pulled up to Myron's house. He coasted to a stop, then turned to me. The truth? I don't know, Mickey, but it doesn't sound good. Just please be careful, okay? Okay, I said. Mr. Waters reached into his wallet. If you see that bald guy again, don't go chasing him. You call me, understand? He handed me his card. It read Joshua Water, Essex County Investigator. There was a phone number on the bottom. I thanked him and got out of the car. He pulled out and I waved goodbye. As I trudged up the walk, I thought maybe I smelled garlic, but that could just be my imagination. I used my key to get inside. Mom! There was no reply. I'm home! I called out louder this time. Mom! Still no reply. I headed into the kitchen. There was nothing on the stove. There was no smell of garlic. I checked the time, 6 p.m. Mom wasn't home from therapy yet? That was it. I opened the refrigerator to grab a drink, but when I did, I saw immediately that there was no new food in it. Hadn't Mom said she went food shopping? My breathing got a little funny. I called her phone. No answer. I hung up after the fifth ring. Okay, Mickey, stay calm. But I couldn't. My hands started shaking when my phone buzzed. I felt a sense of relief. It had to be Mom. I looked at the caller ID. It was Spoon. I started freaking out. I hit ignored and dialed the Coddington Rehab Center. I asked for Christine Shippey. When she got on the line, I asked, Is my mother still there? What are you talking about? Why would your mother be here? My heart sank. She didn't have outpatient therapy today? No. Then. Oh no. What happened, Mickey? Where is she? This is how stupid I am. I actually went outside and expected to see my mother pull up. So many emotions ricocheted through my brain. I just wanted them to stop. I just wanted to be numb. I longed for that, for feeling absolutely nothing. And then I realized that's what my mom craved too. Look where that led her. I called my mom's cell phone again. This time I waited for the voicemail to pick up. Hi, it's Kitty. Leave a message at the beep. I swallowed hard and tried unsuccessfully to keep the pleading from my voice. Mom, please call me, okay? Please. I didn't cry, but I came close. When I hung up, I wondered what to do. For a little while, I just stared at the phone, willing it to ring. But I was done willing and hoping. I had to start getting real. I thought about how my mom's face had beamed this morning. I thought about how the poison has been out of her system for 6 weeks. And how much hope we both had. I didn't want to do this, but I had no choice. The phone was in my hand, and I dialed the number for the very first time. Uncle Myron answered immediately. Mickey, I can't find Mom. Okay, he said. It was almost as though he was expecting my call. I'll handle it. What do you mean, you'll handle it? Do you know where she is? I can find out in a few minutes. I was going to ask how, but there's no time to waste. I want to go with you, I said. I don't think that's a good idea. Let me handle. Myron! I cut him off. Please don't play patronizing games with me. Not now, not with my mother. There was a brief silence, then he said, I'll pick you up on the way.